Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Ryan. Today I wanted to shoot a little bit different style of video, and I wanted to do a video on taking care of a specific type of tetra called the emperor tetra. We have a lot of these fish in the shop. There's a lot of variations, and they're probably some of like the coolest fish you can get in terms of their coloration and their behavior. I was walking around the shop and I noticed that we had a lot of these guys, but they're not colored up, and that's mainly because when we get our fish, they're all babies, so they're not showing their true colors. So I kind of wanted to make this video to kind of talk about how to take care of them and how they change throughout their life and what they turn into. But yeah, we have pretty much all of these variations in the shop except for the blue variation. But we have the Palmeri tetras, the black emperor tetras, rainbow emperor tetras. There's blue emperor tetras, and then there's just like the standard emperor tetras. A lot of the times they're called carry tetras, is what they'll be labeled as. And what's cool about these guys is there's a lot of different variations. So sometimes with the rainbow tetras, usually they're red, orange, yellow, blue, kind of like a rainbow. But there's a lot of different variations. Some will have more red, some will have more blue. So you can have a tank of 20 different, emperor tetras, and they all kind of slightly have different coloration. And that's mainly just because of the genetics and stuff like that. But yeah, they're really cool fish. So these are the care requirements and a little more information about them. The genus is Nematobricon. You can Google that and you can find a ton of information on them. You can also there's a bunch of other fish in this genus too, so you can find some other like really cool, interesting fish. Usually they come from South America. So they're gonna mainly be used to soft water and acidic water in South America. And the t water is usually more acidic because there's a lot of leaf litter, a lot of debris in the tank that makes it more acidic. And then the Amazon rivers usually are more soft. There are a few rivers from what I was looking at that can be harder, but generally they come from soft water. And then the temperature, it's more like mid 70s. Now, what's cool about these guys, a lot of the times now they're tank raised. So since they're tank raised, they're more used to a wider spectrum in terms of the hardness, the pH, and the temperature. And these guys are super, super resilient, and they can be in like a wide range of pH, temperature, and hardness. So the general range for their pH is anywhere from 5 to 7.5. Five's acidic, 7.5 is more on the basic side. Now, our tanks, we just use straight tap water. So we're going to have really hard water around 180 parts per million, and the pH is going to be around 7.5. Sometimes it can be around 8. It really depends if we have like lava rock or the type of stone that we have in the tank. So some of our tanks are a little bit more basic. And like I said, we keep our hardness around 180 parts per million. They can be softer. The general temperature range is 73 degrees to 83 degrees. Now, we keep all of our tanks at 83. 73 degrees might be a little bit low, in my opinion, just because, if you have a smaller tank, like a 20-gallon tank, for example, and you have a heater, if your house is not heated at night and your house gets, 62 degrees or whatever, the tank is going to drop a few degrees, and then your heater is going to turn on, and it's going to take a little bit for your tank to heat back up, and then the heater will turn off, and then you kind of go through that cycle. So if your tank drops, a couple degrees below 73, like you can get into that range where it's getting a little bit too cold. But if you have your tank at 83 degrees or 82 degrees or even 80 degrees and your tank drops, 4 degrees, like you're still going to be in like a good general range. So we keep ours around 80, but consistency is the biggest thing. Like if your house is always, 75 throughout the whole day, you can have your tank set to 73 or 74 and you'd be perfectly fine. For the tank size, I put 29 gallons and up, and that's mainly because I feel like these guys, the Emperor Tetras, do really well in large schools because that's going to make them show their color better and they're also going to have better behavior. Hypothetically, if you wanted like 3 to 6 of them, A 20-gallon tank would be perfectly fine if you just wanted like a school of emperor tetras, 20 gallons would be fine. But I think it's going to show better if you have them in a larger school. So that's why I put 29 and up. They can live a long time. They can live up to 5 years. Most fish can live a long time, especially goldfish and catfish, they can live basically like an eternity. We have an eel in the shop that's 17, and we have a red devil in the shop that's 23. So fish can live a long time, so you kind of want to expect that from these guys. Now, your tank is going to go through a lot of parameter swings in terms of like temperature and hardness and pH, especially if the tank is softer, or sorry, especially if the tank is smaller. So I feel like a few years in a smaller tank is a pretty good lifespan. And what's cool about these guys is it's really easy to tell a difference between males and females. Males will usually have a pointed dorsal fin, and they'll have this protrusion on their back fin. It's also called a caudal fin. And the males also have metallic blue eyes, and the females will have metallic green eyes. Now, that's not necessarily the case for all of them. Like the rainbow tetras, rainbow emperor tetras, for example, the males will have a red eye, and then the females will have the green eye. So there can be some variation, but for the most part, the males have that blue eye. And in terms of feeding these guys, they'll eat basically any aquarium food. I mean, most of our fish will feed flakes like the extreme flakes and the Sarah flakes, and even like the spirulina 20 flakes. They'll also eat like frozen foods like, Daphnia, bloodworms, live worms like blackworms, live Daphnia. If you're hatching your own brine shrimp, they'll eat those as well. In the wild, these guys are technically small invert feeders. So since they're kind of more pointed, usually pointed faced fish or small fish eaters, worm eaters, and invert feeders. So they'd be feeding on like small shrimp and crustaceans and stuff like that are eating algae and also like worms and stuff like that. But from what we've experienced, they eat pretty much like anything we've fed them, they've eaten. So they're really easy in that regard. So these are some of the ones that we have in the shop. So I basically just caught these guys, put them in a species container, put them on a black background, and took some good photos of them. And this one, from the looks of it, looks like it's a female just because the dorsal fin's more rounded. It's kind of hard to see the eye, and that's probably just from the lighting of the photo. A lot of metallic coloration is going to show up metallic when it catches the light right, but you can kind of see that rounded dorsal fin. The carry tetras don't really have that protrusion. So like you can see this one has a really pointed dorsal fin, so that's a male, but they don't have that like trident protrusion, and that's kind of what these guys are known for. Like the fins are supposed to be a trident. But anyways, you can see like the standard carry tetra on the left-hand side, how it doesn't really have that metallic blue. And then you go over to the right when they're fully mature, and you can see they have a really incredible purple and blue stripe on them. They have a little bit of that iridescence on them, and it's a complete night and day difference. So just letting these guys mature and, put them on like a darker background, that'll kind of make them show their color better. Usually, if you have them on an all white background, they'll kind of wash out and they're trying to blend into their surroundings basically. But if you give these guys a little bit of time to mature, they're almost unrecognizable. And same with the Palmeri tetras down here. This guy's for sure a male because it's got that pointed dorsal fin. It's got the blue eye, and you can kind of see the protrusion coming out of its back fin. But you can see there's almost no blue coloration on it. It's just starting to get that yellow coloration on them. And then you can see on the right-hand side, like how incredible the fish is. And this is probably a different variation. The ones that I had more of this blue coloration and had that really nice yellow coloration to them. So this could possibly be a different morph with that like electric blue coloration, but just a super pretty fish. You can see the male with the pointed dorsal fin and the trident shaped back fin. And then these are the rainbow ones. So this one's a little bit confusing because you can kind of see how it has a pointed dorsal fin and then it has that protrusion coming out of the back fin. So at first I thought it was a female, but then after looking at it again, I feel like it's a male. And this is where I'm not sure because it has a blue eye. So I'm not sure if the males start off with blue eyes and then they transform into a red eye. I tried to look it up and I couldn't really find anything on it. But hypothetically, if this is a male, it's a complete night and day difference. And you can kind of see how it's supposed to have that red and orange and the yellow and the blue and the purple, hence the name Rainbow Emperor Tetra. But these are probably one of the nicest Tetras across the board. And just having a school of these is just absolutely incredible. And, just give them a little bit of time and they'll be stunning. And then finally, we have the purple variation down here. This is a female because you have the green eyes, dorsal fins not super pointed, and then it doesn't have that protrusion coming out of its back fin. And then this is kind of what they're going to turn into. They're going to have like a nice dark black color. You got the blue eyes and the nice yellow trim with the feeler coming out of its back fin. Not really a feeler, more of just like a tendril. But these guys are really cool too, especially like these guys are kind of the exception for the background rule, in my opinion, because since they're black, you would want them on a white background because they're really gonna pop. But yeah, sometimes these guys will have more of like a purple hue to them. Sometimes they'll have more of like a black hue to them. So sometimes we'll get ones that are called black emperor tetras, and they'll be like a jet black, and then sometimes they'll be more of like a purplish color. So there's some variation in there. But yeah, they're just very pretty fish. That's kind of like all I wanted to talk about in this video. We do have the rainbow tetras, the purple emperors, the standard carries, and the palmarized. We do get the blue variations in from time to time. Sometimes we will get in adults that will be already colored up. But yeah, just getting these guys when they're small, putting them on a darker background, taking care of them well, and they'll color up. And in my opinion, they're some of the nicest fish you can get. Really pretty, especially if you have a big school of them. They're truly breathtaking. But yeah, that's pretty much all I had for the video. Let me know if you guys liked it. Hopefully the audio isn't too loud. I don't want it to sound like it's me shouting in your guys' ear. Um, but yeah, I didn't really want this to be like, I didn't want it to feel like a college lecture because I've sat through plenty of those and I know that they can be boring. So if you guys would rather me shoot the video in person, showing the fish in the tank swimming, and then I could insert some pictures of what they'll look like when they mature, I can do that too if you guys would rather see that. But yeah, I got the tank restoration video in progress. Jimmy and I are going to try to reseal it. So hopefully that goes well and we can do that video. And then I'm also getting a really nice light. And my plan with that light is to do a CO2 planet tank. So I'm going to do a how-to video on how to set up a high-tech CO2 tank, showing how to put together the regulator and the CO2 tank, how to get that dialed in, also do a product review on this new light that I'm getting, and then do a video on how to scape a CO2 planted tank, and then like different plants that you can get to put in there and how to make them turn red and all the different really cool CO2 plant variations you can get. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, hopefully everyone has a great day. Hopefully you guys enjoy the video. I really appreciate all of the likes and the subscribers. Jimmy and I and Steven, we really appreciate that people are interested and we appreciate the feedback. But yeah, hopefully everyone has a great day and a good week, and I'll be seeing you guys in a few days. Bye.